In a country where there are so many broken homes, in a country where many of our youth are being infected by AIDS and many sexually transmitted diseases, in a country where a lot of men who are committing gender-based violence are coming from fatherless homes, in a country where people go into crime because they come from broken families, you do not expect to hear foolishness like this.
Comrades, enzana abantwana ngizawukhokhela mna because siyayidabula i-child grant from 510 to 1,020 rand because our children deserve better. Don't be lazy. Please, don't be lazy. Enzana abantwana SG lingalali. When we leave here, sicela ukuthi nibe busy. Please. And I don't care whether you are poor or not. Enzana abantwana. We must multiply ourselves. We must leave legacy through our own children.
When you thought he had said it all, he says this. He's telling people, especially our youth, that they should make babies. Get to work, he says. Not working on improving yourself, not working on empowering your community, not working on becoming self-reliant. No, work on making babies in order to receive a social grant. A social grant. He says we must multiply, but how many children does he have? He earns more than R1 million a year, yet he doesn't even have 4 children. Yet he wants people who are unemployed or earning close to nothing to make babies. Listen to this guy at your own risk. Anyways, he wants our people to keep on multiplying, giving birth to more and more children, even though they have no means to provide for those children. Is this the same person you say I should not criticize? Is this the same person you are placing the hope of South Africa on? Is this the same person who wants Africa to be independent of financial aid from the West? Yet he wants South Africans to depend on the government to provide for their babies. Does that make any sense to you? He says instead of the 510 SASSA grant they are currently getting per child from the government, he promises that he will give them double. And you're telling me that I hate black people. You're telling me that I should not criticize this. Stop criticizing black politicians. Why do you always talk about Julius Malema? Why would I keep quiet when someone is openly and clearly misleading our people? He has just gone against the EFF's theme for 2024 elections, our land and jobs now. Why do South Africans need to double the SASSA grants if indeed you will create the jobs as you committed? Unless you have no intention of fulfilling that commitment, which honestly would not come as a surprise. Our people need economic opportunities. They need jobs. They need businesses. We need South Africans to have the mindset, the skills, the support, and economical and political environment to make money for themselves and their children. We don't need South Africans seeing making children as a way to make money. Yet Julius Malema is saying have more children and I will double the grants that you're getting. This is crazy. This is just crazy. Does he not consider the fact that such advice will cause our young women to have children with any man simply to get that 1,020, which by the way is not enough to take care of your child well, never mind yourself? Does he not care that a lot of children born under such circumstances end up being brought up in a fatherless home? Sometimes they end up raised by grandparents, meaning no father and no mother. Does it not matter to him that such upbringings put the child at a disadvantage physically, emotionally, academically, and economically for years after birth? I doubt that he cares. His children are not the ones expected to be taken care of on 1,020 per month. I doubt his son's school fees are anything less than 1,020 per month. Yet he is encouraging people to make more children in order to be given 1,020 rand to raise their children on. So hypocritical. Let's consider Black Americans, a group of people with the highest number of fatherless homes and high rates of crime and poverty in America. Several studies have shown that fatherlessness is one of the leading causes to crime and poverty. A person who sees themselves leading a nation should plan on decreasing the rates of crime and poverty in their nation. And knowing that fatherlessness is one of the root causes to these two ills, a true leader or future president should be coming up with solutions to the fatherlessness monster. They should be giving speeches that speak against promiscuity, against lack of family planning, against random baby making. Yet here, Julius Malema is doing the exact opposite. This gives you an even better idea of the type of leader or president you can expect Julius Malema to be. If you cared about crime, poverty, fatherlessness, you would not vote for a leader whose actions and speech encourages these things, right? Back to Black Americans. While the issue of fatherlessness has unfortunately become very prevalent in recent years, did you know that from 1890 to 1950, Black women had a higher marriage rate than white women? And in 1950, just 9% of Black children lived without their father. By 1960, the Black marriage rate had declined but remained close to the white marriage rate. In other words, despite open racism and other challenges, strong Black families used to be the norm. But the marriage rate and the Black family started to decline after 1965. Why? What changed exactly? Welfare, social grants. And no, I am not about to tell you that providing social assistance is completely wrong and should stop. I mean, in the period when Black people had high marriage rate, when most Black children were raised in a two-parent home, social grants were being provided, but in a different way. They were not generous. It was in 1964 when welfare started to cause chaos in the Black family. The welfare benefits became more generous. The government was giving generous grants to mothers if and only if there was no man in her household. But as we all know, there may be a man in the house who may be unemployed or who may be earning a very low wage. Surely that mother also should get a grant, right? Well, according to the American government of the time, no. As long as a mother was married or had a man in the house, she would not get that generous grant. I don't know how you see it, but in my view, mothers were being paid to not be married, to not live with the fathers of their children. Marriage was actively discouraged, to the point that welfare workers would randomly appear in homes to check if the mother really had no man in the house.
For one thing, it makes it unnecessary for fathers to support their offspring. And in fact, it makes it counterproductive in many cases. A very poor man who might be able to support his family realizes his family will be better off without him. But on the other hand, someone who's strictly irresponsible, either the man or the woman or both, now pays no price for being irresponsible. The taxpayers pay the price. And actually, the harm done to the taxpayers, which is serious, still is not comparable to the harm done to the families, and especially the children.
To the kids.
Yeah.
While the more generous grant appeared to be great and to the benefit of the poor, it was actually very dangerous for the family. It resulted in more single mothers. Many mothers chose to not risk their economic well-being, and just like that, the welfare, the social grants that were meaning or meant or disguised as a way out of poverty became a slow route towards fatherlessness, which in turn created poverty, crime, insecurities, and many other problems. Look at the Black community in America now.
Only one way to go and it's up. I don't fuck with these niggas, no trust. Bitch, I got the Glock up on my side. If he try to run, clap him in the leg and make a drive. Bitch, I'm his son.
What do they celebrate? They celebrate prostitutes who sing about the most disgusting things to ever come out of radio. Most celebrities among Black people have no real valuable contribution to the world. They treat gangsters and prostitutes as if they're rock stars. Look at us here in South Africa. We are not far behind. We glorify the worst people in our country. We give the worst of the worst our love, applause, and support. One may be watching and saying, but that's not what Julius Malema is suggesting. Well, think about this. Have we not seen how many young girls and women are having children outside of wedlock simply to secure the 510 SASSA grants? Do we not know 1 or 2 children who are raised without their fathers? The mothers don't care about the fact that the child is raised without the father. What matters to the mother is that at least the birth of this child has given her 510 that she did not have before having that child. Well, now he's even promising double the money.
Because siyayidabula i-child grant from 510 to 1,020 rand.
Which means that those who thought 510 was too little to have a child with an irresponsible or abusive man or boy, double may be more appealing, resulting in even more children raised without present or responsible fathers. Julius Malema claims to be for Black people and Africans. He claims to be heading a scientific party, yet the science says that the foolish idea he's proposing has not led to the betterment of Black people, but has taken them down the paths of broken homes, down the paths of poverty, down the paths of crime. But still, he's proposing it. Notorious criminals like Trinity Kolani Msibi were raised in broken homes. People like Thabo Bester never knew their fathers. They never knew how to treat women. They never knew how to be a loving boyfriend or husband. Look at the path that their lives have taken. How do you expect to fight crime and poverty if you don't understand the connection with broken homes, absent fathers, poverty, and crime? As I have indicated, this is not a problem unique to South Africa. What kind of a leader do you expect to have with Julius? What kind of country do you expect to have with the EFF in charge? My fellow South Africans, I care about you. I care about our country. The things I'm telling you are things that have been studied and documented. While the studies and the science is there, it appears that our leaders do not care to look at it or do anything about it. One of our problems in South Africa is that our leaders are not telling our people to avoid teenage pregnancies. We are not being encouraged to value our homes. We are not being told over and over again about the importance of both fathers and mothers in our families. Young women having children outside of wedlock to confidently drop those children to be raised by their grandparents has become common. Baby mama, baby daddy drama has become common. Having children with 4 different men or 4 different women has become common. But let me tell you, common does not mean right. We can do better than that. We can give our children better than that. We can give ourselves better than that. We need to be disciplined. Every weekend, our people are engaged in the overconsumption of alcohol, which increases the chances of unplanned pregnancies and children raised without a father in the home. Everywhere you look, premarital sex is being glorified in South Africa. Promiscuity is being treated as if it's normal. This is not normal. It is not normal. It is one of the prices to pay when our society looks up to Instagram prostitutes. It is one of the consequences of our youth looking up to celebrities who have children with several women or several men and act like it's normal and cool. We as Africans admire and emulate the destructive Black American culture so much that we don't even see why they are one of the worst people to copy. Their music is trash, and yet it has found its home in South Africa. How are we jamming to music that promotes promiscuity, that demeans marriage and women? We can speak day and night about economic freedom, but the fact is you cannot easily focus on finding economic freedom for yourself and your family when you have children out of wedlock, when you're a single mother, not having the adequate support from the father of your child. Dear ladies and gentlemen of South Africa, value yourself, focus on education, focus on finding economic freedom. Do not love the party life. Think long term. South Africa loves to party and not deal with the consequences. It's as if we forget that a woman loses her value the more she has premarital sex. A woman loses value the more children she has. I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm just speaking facts that we seem to have forgotten or are afraid of speaking. But we need to talk about it so that those who have been deceived into believing that it's normal know that it is not normal. It is our responsibility to tell the truth, especially to the young ones. Ladies, never tell yourself that we are the same with men in this area. Never tell yourself that if men can do it, I can do it too. We can say it and post it 1,000 times, but that does not take away from the facts. Women, please value yourselves. Men should pursue you. They should see you as a valuable partner to start a family with. Men should not think they have hope in sleeping with you and moving on with their lives. Benjamin Disraeli once said, "You can tell the strength of a nation by the women behind its men." Did you hear that? Let me repeat that, and this time, please let it sink in. You can tell the strength of a nation by the women behind its men. Have you ever wondered why men are so protective of their daughters? Why is it that men are willing to sleep with other people's daughters, but they don't want their daughters sleeping around with other men? It's all connected. Ask people from other countries like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, or even the Middle East. They will tell you, you don't get away with sleeping with people's daughters easily, especially when they find out that their daughter is pregnant. Zimbabwean families know that if you make their daughter pregnant, it means you must marry her. Whether you like her looks, her character, her personality, you must marry her. Whether you were ready for marriage or not, by virtue of you impregnating her, she's automatically your wife.
Don't be lazy. Please, don't be lazy. Enzana abantwana SG, lingalali.
South Africans, we are now treating having children with no fathers as if it's an achievement. We are killing our country. We too used to have our traditional ways that did not allow people to simply do as they please with our daughters. Sons used to be well informed and well taught in the importance of not destroying the value of other people's daughters. We can deny it, but just think about lobola negotiations. If a woman has children when she is getting married, lobola negotiations tend to value the woman less. This has a meaning. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it means something. Some of you praise these celebrities and social media influencers who have many children out of wedlock as if they are role models. They are not. They should be ashamed. The fact that they are your role models is also a sign about you. Men, value yourselves too. Stop making babies with random women. Be honorable. How do you sleep at night not knowing how many children you may have roaming around? How do you enjoy your meals without knowing what your sons and daughters ate? How do you sleep at night not knowing who bullied them at school or where their diapers came from? Knowing that your blood, your genes, your heritage, your descendants are out there without you, without your guidance, without your protection, without your support. Don't listen to a rich married man who encourages you to have children while he promises that he will give you grant money. Everyone knows that 500 is not enough to take care of a child per month. Even 1,000 rand is not enough. Diapers, formula, clothing, shelter, uniform, school lunch, food at home, accommodation, school trips, school stationery, you name it. Our country is falling into chaos. The biggest problem we have in South Africa is that people who speak this kind of rubbish, like Julius Malema, are considered as though they are great leaders. You have Cyril Ramaphosa, who celebrates having a massive number of people on social grants. I am all for be fruitful and multiply. However, I am also aware that children are a blessing, but they are also a burden. Dedicate yourself to getting skilled, educated, and experienced in ways to make money. Carefully choose a woman or a man to marry. Someone who is reliable, well-behaved, someone who does not spend money every weekend partying with no direction, someone who loves and cherishes you. He or she doesn't have to be perfect, but decent, because perfect does not exist. Julius should be encouraging our people to learn entrepreneurship and to encourage our children to be business-minded. He could have been encouraging no sex before marriage, but he encourages reckless behavior. He allows this at his rallies. Is this something you expect to see happening at a rally associated with your favorite political party? Julius Malema looks down on us. He looks down on those who attended the rally. Why does he think he can show you this and still get your vote? He thinks he can show this to children in the crowd, exposing them to such and taking away their innocence, playing on the weakness of men in the crowd, disrespecting the women in the crowd. He thinks he can show this to the elderly, the Christians, the Muslims, and get away with it. What type of leader is this? Even if this is his type of entertainment, surely he knows that it's not something that should be put in public for all to see. It might be okay in the parties and private clubs he goes to with Mazoti and the EFF men, but not for the rest of us, unless he thinks that this is the rot that South Africa has reached, the rot that South Africans have reached. Mistakes do happen. Broken homes do happen, but they will worsen, especially among Black people, if we continue where we are headed. You may have had 1 or 2 children in the past, but do the best you can to help them and guide them and inform them so that they can do better than us. Do better than us and choose better than us. That's my message for today. May you have a pleasant day. I know that this issue is a sensitive one, but if we never mention it, we will never address it or fix it. Let's keep what works from our culture. I know the stories. Whatever a man does, I should be allowed to do it as well. The truth is, men do not lose their value the more kids they have, but women do. The more children you have as a woman, the less men are willing to marry you. Value yourself before you expect the next person to value you. Women are jewels of a nation, and men protect those jewels. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned, and until next time, beware of the comrades.